What's up, my good people? We are here inside of Pizza Man Pub, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York, and we are heading into the draft. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, off the rails with Al Romano, who won a championship nationally with the Pitt Panthers back in college. Did it with Tony Dorsett. Me, well, I'm undefeated in college football.
No, Tony Dorsett did it with me.
Okay, sorry, I said it wrong. I said it wrong again. My bad. So we're happy to be here with you. We're going to be bringing you through the draft. We did it last year. We're going to do it again this year, bringing you all the way to the beginning of the first round. We're ushering in the NFL draft with you. We did it last year. We did our picks. We picked the entire field. We have one less pick this year because Miami forfeited their 21st pick due to the fact that they had done something to mess with the integrity of the game, as it was called. So they had to forfeit their pick, which means that we have 31 instead of 32. You and I will go through them all, Al. I haven't seen your list. You did take a peek at mine. I have no idea who you're going to pick.
Just your first
couple? Yeah. So there's some. So this is what I had in my 1.0. I might be changing some things now with Lamar Jackson having signed his extension. I do want to let people know I'm proud, and I talked to you about this off the air. I said if Deshaun Watson gets 230, Lamar can ask for more than 230. I think 260, somewhere around there, would make sense. And if he gets 175 to 185 guaranteed, I'd be happy. And he signed 260 allegedly with 185 guaranteed. So maybe I should be the agent of Lamar Jackson.
I think for the novice people who are out there, you should let them know that is in millions, not 260,000.
Did I say 260? Did I say 1,000? I didn't say 1,000.
No, you didn't say either.
Yeah, $260 million.
Which is absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you got the billionaires paying the millionaires.
Yeah, the people that are saying that they're poor.
Right.
The ones through the pandemic that were signing Fernando Tatis to almost $400 million contract, stating that they weren't making any money. So we're going to have some fun with this tonight. I like the fact that I get to have you to bring in the draft. There's so many pre-draft shows out there, but nobody has an Al Romano. So
yeah, right.
I'm happy to have you. He swears when he's sober and he sleeps when he's drunk. Right. That's how I look at it.
No, I don't swear.
No, you don't.
I just get passionate.
Only on this show do you swear. Only on Wake Up Call.
No, I've said a few words in church, too. So.
Okay, all right. Did you ever take money out of the basket?
All the time.
Okay. Nice. Jeff Foxworthy said that he used to make change in the play. Because you go in there with a 20 and, figure some things out. So we're going to be making our picks all throughout the entire first round here as we get you set for the NFL draft.
And it's a short first round.
Yeah, and this is what you're going to hear when the pick is in. So we're going to do first pick. Al, I'll defer to you, and then I'll go after you hear this. That means the pick is in. So first pick of this year's 2023 NFL draft, who do you have?
Well, I'm going to do something that is going to surprise a few people.
Okay. Lay it on us.
Everyone in the country's looking at Bryce from Alabama. Well, I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud.
Right.
Why?
Well, first of all, he's bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And his speed is not much less
than Bryce. So here's my thing. I'm gonna go.
And first, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. What you're saying.
Well, I just like him bigger.
We've only done the first pick now.
I'm talking quarterbacks.
I know. We've only done the first pick.
Get your mind out of the gun.
You're already off the rails, and we've just started the first pick here. So thank you to everybody that is watching on Facebook as well as on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and listening worldwide on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Those are the same channels you'll find Wake Up Call during our normal scheduled broadcasts every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And depending on how the night goes with Al, I'll see you in the morning at 9 o'clock as well. So a lot of good stuff coming up here. So the first pick for you, C.J. Stroud. I'm going to stay with my draft 1.0. I'm going to keep with my pick that I had here earlier, and I have the Carolina Panthers trading up to take a quarterback, but I'm going to stick with Bryce Young here out of Alabama. Them going with Bryce. And this, I'm not sold on anybody. I mean, you and I sat here last year, and they said, the quarterbacks in the 2022 draft are nobody to write home about. Nobody was, people were talking about Kenny Pickett, but I was saying that he was going to be the first one off the board. I told you he was going to the Steelers. I told you he was number 20.
Did.
We stood there when it happened.
Right to the very last pick.
And I love it because I got you in the moment on video with a very nice swear word, and you went blank, yeah. And I still have that video. And that video on Twitter went somewhat viral, Al, because I got to put up there a Pitt Panther to another Pitt Panther.
I am partial.
Yeah, you are.
And he's a nice kid. I've met him many times. So.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett. So he went first, not Malik Willis. Malik Willis went in the third round. And the second quarterback off the board is also one of my guys and another guy I covered in college, Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati last year. So this year they've been telling us a year in advance, this is the year of the quarterback. There's going to be so many. Oh, my gosh, it's crazy. But you and I did exactly, proving the opposite by what we just did.
Right.
There's no surefire number one guy because you picked CJ, I picked Bryce, and I think that you and I, not seeing each other's sheets, thinking about that, just the two of us here and looking around the country with this, there's no guy that we're saying that's the number one guy. 2 years ago, it was Trevor Lawrence. We sat here and I said, it's got to be Trev. And it was Trevor Lawrence to my Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think this year has a dominant quarterback force, and we proved it by the fact that we didn't even have the same pick.
No, I turned on ESPN and they were doing the mock draft, and you wouldn't believe some of the guys they're coming up with.
Oh yeah, I mean you think they're going to go quarterback.
They're talking a linebacker going number 2.
Yeah, and I think
so. We'll talk about that.
And I think that Houston. So let's get our second pick. For the second pick of this year's NFL draft, you're going to have me go? Okay, so you'll take odds, I'll take evens. I'm going to have the Houston Texans. Now, earlier today I said C.J. Stroud. Now, I said C.J. Stroud because he's not that much different, in my opinion, of having what they have already in Davis Mills. It makes sense. They could take him, and I think DeMeco Ryans taking over this team as a new head coach for the Houston Texans wants to make a splash. And you make a splash with your fan base, typically more by taking a quarterback than a defensive player. But I'm going to throw a little wrinkle in here. Don't be surprised if they were to take edge rusher Will Anderson Jr. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they took Will Anderson, took a defensive player. But I'm going to stick with what I had in my 1.0 and in my mock draft 2.0 leading into the draft. I'm going to say C.J. Stroud, but I wouldn't be surprised if they took an edge rusher with this pick.
No, not at all. Not at all.
What do you got?
Bryce.
You got Bryce, so you just flipped him.
Which it could happen.
Yeah, it definitely could. And so to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So our third pick of this year's NFL draft. Arizona Cardinals, what do you got? Third overall.
Let me see. Oh, I have Anderson, Will Anderson.
Yeah, so that's the edge rusher. That's where I had him going here. Like I said, I think he's going 2 or 3. If he goes to Arizona, there's no way, in my opinion, they draft a quarterback. They go through head coaches like underpants.
Well,
but
everybody needs offensive linemen. So if that didn't work for me, I was actually going to go with Paris Johnson.
Yeah, and I think Paris is going to go pretty early in this draft here. So I got Will Anderson as well. So that's the pick that you and I have the same, which puts the Colts on the clock at number 4. And with the Colts, 4th overall in this wake-up call mock draft leading you into the draft tonight, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Anthony Richardson from Florida, quarterback.
I had the same, but I really like this kid from Kentucky, so I threw him in. Yeah, Will Levis.
Okay.
I just like his size. He reminds me of Ben, and I watched a video or maybe a YouTube thing where he was on his knees and he threw the ball 70 yards.
Well, the thing with Will Levis, and the numbers-wise, is he didn't wow me with his numbers.
No.
So that's why I'm kind of staying away from him. And I actually, well, I'm not going to give it away, but some people have Will Levis in certain places. You might be surprised to see where I have him. But I have Anthony Richardson here. Indianapolis needs a splash. They need another team that has a new head coach. So they need to make a splash. They need to do something to ignite the fan base. A few years ago when Andrew Luck had his very early departure from the NFL at 29 years old, 2 weeks before the season, since then they've been going through
Coaches and quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've been going through, and the thing is, they've been going through quarterbacks like you see people go through girlfriends and boyfriends in Hollywood. And so with that being stated, with all the quarterbacks that they've had, they need a guy who's going to be different, who's going to make a splash, who's going to be unique, and Anthony Richardson gives them that. So I think they go with Richardson to be a team that can ignite the fan base and give themselves a quarterback that I really didn't think he was great at Florida, but they like him. They like what they've seen since then.
You put him at Alabama or even at Ohio State, it's a whole different quarterback. I mean, Kentucky didn't have really much to help him with.
Right, and so the thing is with Anthony Richardson, coming from the Florida Gators, going through what he went through, he wasn't the dominant guy, and he's only really had one season of showing himself as the guy.
Right.
But, they like his size, they like his build, they like different things that he can do. So Anthony Richardson, I got him going in the top 4, and I'm going to have him going to the Colts. I don't have him going to the Texans because I think the Texans they don't want a guy who gives them a feeling like you had with Deshaun Watson. I think they want to go away from that, get a pocket passer, go with C.J. Stroud. So with the 5th pick of this year's draft, the Seattle Seahawks kind of lucked out because Geno Smith worked out and they didn't have to look for a quarterback this year.
Right.
So where did the Seattle Seahawks go? Well, actually, you take this one, and then I'll go after you.
Well, I have Tyree.
You have Tyree? Okay. So you have Tyree Wilson, edge rusher from Texas Tech, going here. I have him going a pick later. With this pick, I have edge rusher, with this pick, I have inside defensive lineman from the Georgia Bulldogs, Jalen Carter, going to the Seahawks here. So I have Jalen Carter going, covered him at Georgia. I have him going to the Seahawks at pick number 5. Either way, I think they're going defensive line.
Right.
So with the 6th pick in our mock draft, this is where I have 6th overall. I have Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, the edge rusher that you had going a pick before. I have Tyree going in this position to the Lions at number 6. What do you have?
Van Ness.
And you have Lucas Van Ness going in this one. So, Lucas Van Ness, another guy that I think has dropped on some people's boards, but he's living somewhere in mine. So you have Lucas Van Ness going to the Lions here at 6 overall, which will now put us at 7, which has those Raiders on the clock in this Wake Up Call mock draft heading into 2023's NFL Draft. Who do the Raiders take at number 7?
The Raiders need a lot.
Yes, they do. The Raiders they do have Jimmy Garoppolo now.
I love that.
Yeah, you're happy with it? I'm happy they finally moved him around.
That guy is a good quarterback. I think he's up there in the top 10 of quarterbacks.
Well, I think here's the thing. If he's healthy, he's definitely a guy.
Everywhere they go, they shit on him.
Yeah.
What, are you
There's the
kidding
first
me?
swear of tonight. There it is.
Come on.
How many minutes in?
He brings.
You made it 14 minutes in. I'm proud of you.
He brings almost every team that he's been with to the playoffs or the Super Bowl.
He's brought San Francisco there multiple times, and they continue to crap
and
on
I
him.
love San Francisco.
And they treated him like garbage.
They did. I agree.
So who's number 7 to the Raiders? Who you got?
What do I got? Raiders. I got Gonzalez, the corner.
So you have corner Christian Gonzalez. Guess what, Al?
You too?
I also have Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, the cornerback. First cornerback taken off the board. So you and I both have Christian Gonzalez, corner of Oregon, going to the Raiders with pick number 7. So that leaves us with pick number 8 to the Falcons. Some people think they're taking a quarterback. I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right. I saw that.
So I have the Atlanta. Yeah, they had him if Anthony Richardson fell to them. I have the Atlanta Falcons, who drafted my guy Desmond Ridder last year in the 2nd round. I have the Atlanta Falcons going with something that they have desperately needed for multiple years, and that is a running back. The first one off the board, and a lot of people don't go running back early in the this day and age anymore in the mock draft because we haven't seen NFL teams pick their running backs early. They feel like they're a dime a dozen, but I think this guy's worth going up and taking in the top 10. Atlanta Falcons with the 8th pick, in my opinion, will take Texas running back Bijan Robinson with pick number 8.
He's tough. I like him.
Yeah, I like Bijan. What do you got for this one?
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Okay, so I had Jalen Carter 3 picks before.
Right.
So we're still functioning in the same region, even if we don't have the same pick. So that brings us to pick. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Georgia.
Yeah. And Georgia had, I think, 11 or 12 guys drafted last year, and we're already talking about Georgia guys this early. You and I both have him in the top 8, and there's another guy I'll have in the top 10.
Who do you have for a running back?
Bijan Robinson.
See, my backup.
Yeah.
That's what I had.
Yeah, Bijan.
Robinson, Texas.
Yeah. So that's your other thought there. All right, so we did have another similarity there, which leads us to pick number 9, which will be the Chicago Bears, who traded their first overall pick to Carolina to stay in the top 10 at number 9. And I want to give us some credit here. We're drafting a lot faster than the NFL is going to draft tonight.
We're flying here.
We're just flying right through. You heard that chime 9 times already.
I know, but
in 14 minutes, 15 minutes.
I want to be here for a little while. I want at least one more drink.
Well, I got to make sure that we can get our food. I got to get the sweet heat, and I got to get my lemon pepper wings.
All right, let's hurry it up. Let's do it.
All right. So, what's your pick for number 9?
9, I got Johnson. No, hold on. 9. Yeah.
So you got
Paris Johnson.
You got Paris Johnson at number 9. Okay. All right.
Offensive tackle, Ohio State.
Offensive tackle for
6'6", 315.
That's good stuff.
Holy shit.
Nothing bad with that. There's the second swear of the day. I got the Bears. I got the Bears taking an offensive tackle as well.
Is anybody else out there counting me swearing?
I'm going to count them. I'm counting them right now. I want to be counted. You got 2. So, no, the Chicago Bears, it's all good fun. Chicago Bears, I got them taking an offensive tackle as well, but I got them taking from Northwestern offensive tackle Peter Skoronski, who I think is going to be the first tackle off the board. Either him or Paris.
I got him coming up later.
Yeah, Peter or Paris are going to come off. Peter, Paul, and Mary is how I feel when I just said something like that. But yeah, I'm going to go with, in this one, Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern to the Chicago Bears. I'm going to stick with that, which leads us to 10th of the top 10. Who will be the 10th overall pick going to
Eagles?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Weatherspoon. Quarterback. I think they need both.
Yeah.
And I had Peter for them as a backup.
Yeah, this one for me, I'm going with the Eagles. I'm going edge rusher to help them with their defense. I'm going to stick with Nolan Smith out of Georgia. So I got 2 Georgia guys going in the top 10. I'm going to go with Nolan Smith here. He can play different positions. So I'm going to keep with Nolan, and I'm going to put him in this situation.
He's good. He's the only negative, he's light, but he's quick as hell.
Yeah, and that's the thing is they need a speedy guy to come off the edge. So I'm going to put him in this situation. Nolan Smith, another guy I covered in college, him coming out of Georgia. So in my 1.0 mock draft, I had the same top 10. So let's see if I change my mind on anybody else. But as of right now, I've kept my top 10 the same from my 1.0 mock draft to my 2.0, which leads us into pick number 11, which is right now the Tennessee Titans. And I say right now, and I'll tell you why in a second. Who you got for pick number 11?
Peter Skoronski.
You got Skoronski. All right. I like that. So, yeah, they definitely have to protect their quarterback here. I'm going to go in this at number 0. Now, this is keeping in mind if the Titans don't trade the pick. If the Titans trade the pick, which they could do, now follow me on this for a second. If the Tennessee Titans are to trade up, and they truly are done with Malik Willis, I could see them attempting to trade up to get C.J. Stroud. I just want to let that be known. And Anson Mounts, the actor you know for a lot of things, Hell on Wheels, and he's going to be on our show this coming week on Wake Up Call in the morning, so pay attention to that. He's a Tennessee Titans fan. Before I got here tonight, he said, actually while I was getting here tonight, he sent me a message and he said, "What did I say?" And he had a picture of C.J. Stroud and a note there that Tennessee might be trading up to get him. So if they trade up to get him, they're going to have to go to the top 4, maybe the top 2. And it would be ironic if Tennessee Titans trade with the Houston Texans, because the Tennessee Titans used to be the Houston Oilers. So Tennessee would be trading with Houston when they used to be Houston, taking Houston's pick and taking C.J. Stroud. But if they stay at number 11 and they really are done with Malik Willis, I have them taking Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee via Virginia Tech, because Hendon Hooker's numbers, believe it or not, to people that are talking about Will Levis, his numbers are better than Will Levis, and to me, he's a better pick here at number 11 out of Tennessee, who I covered when he was at Virginia Tech. I don't know why my brain told me he was at East Carolina, but he was at Virginia Tech here. So Hendon Hooker, I got him as number 11 overall, which brings us to the Texans' second pick of the first round. And with their second pick of the first round, I have the Houston Texans selecting at number 12 overall, the first wide receiver off the board, Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's who you got? Jackson Smith and Jigba out of OHIO.
Yeah, another Ohio.
Which would give Ohio State a top 12 wide receiver in back-to-back drafts.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened with Garrett Wilson last year when I said he would go 10 to the Jets. He became the Rookie of the Year and the number 1 receiver with the Jets. And I said last year when we were doing this, there's no way he doesn't become the – I said he'll be the number 1 receiver for the New York Jets because the Jets had nobody to take his place. So even as a rookie, he would become a number 1 guy. And last year when we did this, we talked about a bunch of receivers, and I said don't be surprised at these rookie receivers becoming the number 1 guy. Chris Olave in New Orleans, and he did it. And looking at Garrett Wilson, and these guys were teammates, and he did it with the Jets. So you got Ohio State guys last year becoming number 1 wide receivers in the NFL as rookies. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. He's got, like them, he has nobody standing in his way in Houston to become the number 1 or a top 2 threat right off the bat.
He's a big wide receiver. He's 6'1".
And that's the thing is, I don't like Ohio State in the college football playoff, not a big fan of them in there, but individual talent, they have tremendous talent for the NFL draft. As a team, I don't buy into the hype, and they don't live up to it 9 times out of 10. But as individuals, they're really good draft picks. Yeah. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, is that what you had?
I have, yes.
Okay, they're the same guy.
I have 2 nephews and a niece that graduated Ohio State. They're my oldest brothers.
OHIO.
Biggest asshole fans I've ever met.
I can imagine.
I mean, they nobody can do anything better.
I got to do my tally. That's 3 for Al tonight.
But I mean, it's just they're just obnoxious about it. You know, I mean, obnoxious.
Well, if you walk down the street,
they never lose a game.
Oh yeah, they can't.
No, they
Well, they
never
gotta understand-
lose a game. My nephew always blames it on something else.
And Ohio State never has to play a game to be ranked in the top 10.
No, that's
Ever. They never have to play a game to be in the top 10. And that was case in point in 2020 during COVID. 6 weeks into the season, the Big Ten decided to play, and Ohio State came into the rankings 6 weeks in without playing a game in the top 8, and they were in, Penn State was in, Michigan was in, and Michigan in 2020, without playing a game, went up 4 spots with a record of 0-0 above teams that had played, and above UCF, who had 1 loss. Blows your mind.
The Big Ten is just...
Blows your mind, Al. Let's see here. So Greg said Ohio State wide receiver U going to have 3 top-tier wide receivers back-to-back years once Harrison Jr. comes out. That's Marvin Harrison Jr., whose
Harrison Jr., yes.
father played at Syracuse, and here he is playing at Ohio State. So with that being said, that brings us to pick number 13 as we're blowing through this thing. Pick number 13. There's no way the NFL is going to get through the top 13 picks in the first half hour tonight. No. But we did it. We're making it.
No, ours are going to be closer than
Yeah. So 13, what do you have, Val, for the Green Bay Packers?
Broderick Jones.
Broderick Jones, okay.
Well, I mean, I think that they're going to go for
offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle.
And I have him going.
You got Rodgers there, and they don't want him bruised.
You and I, once again, have a pick one off because you had Paris Johnson Jr. going earlier from Ohio State, And I have Paris Johnson, offensive tackle, going to the Green Bay Packers at 13. And Broderick Jones is still on the board, but not for long in my draft, as you and I, once again, are either the same or we're one or two off. And so Paris Johnson Jr. I have going to the Green Bay Packers, which leaves us with pick 14.
Much hated.
I was going to say that.
Patriots.
I just said we're either the same pick or one pick off, and I was about to say the much hated
No,
Patriots.
seriously, I always thought I hated the Patriots. Well, anybody who was affiliated with the Patriots.
Yeah.
But when Brady went to
the Bucs.
To the Bucs.
You liked it?
No, it really was the Patriots I hated, not him.
Yeah, I mean, you really figure that out because at the end of the day, if you still don't like the Patriots today without Tom Brady, then you've admitted that it's really Bill Belichick that you don't like.
It is.
So the 14th overall pick, like I said, one off here. I'm going with offensive tackle to the New England Patriots, Broderick Jones, out of Georgia. I'm going with Broderick here, which I would love it if he fell to Jacksonville, but I don't think he will. What do you have for 14?
Darrell Wright.
So you have Darnell Wright again, one pick off. You have the offensive tackle from Tennessee.
6'5", 235.
And an offensive.
335.
Is an offensive tackle.
As
Now
an
they say
offensive
6'5" isn't big enough. That's what they said to Matt Bergeron. I disagree because we got another 6'5" guy here. So you have Darnell Wright, and here we are.
I meant Darnell. I'm sorry.
It's like we're looking at each other's paper, one off here. So that's pick 14. I have to the Patriots Broderick Jones, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Al is staying in the SEC with Darnell Wright out of Tennessee to the Patriots, which leads us to the Jets. First pick of the NFL draft. It was 13, but with the trade for Aaron Rodgers, it's 15. We're going to the Jets right now. 15 overall.
Okay.
What do you got?
Broderick Jones.
To the New York Jets. You have Broderick Jones.
Yeah.
So I have Darnell Wright.
Out of Georgia.
So we flipped. I had Broderick, then Darnell. You have Darnell, then Broderick.
The only thing that worries me about this guy is that he's only a sophomore.
Yeah. Well,
So maturity could be an issue.
Darnell Wright, Tennessee. I got him going here to the Jets. Here's the interesting thing about this. I don't see how the Jets lost a single part of the trade with Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to tell you why, and I want to get your thoughts. The Jets get a Super Bowl champion, MVP quarterback, who's also a drama queen that will have a great opportunity to be on Real Housewives of New York or New Jersey, depending on where you think the Jets play. So, with that being said, though, Aaron Rodgers at 39 years old goes to the Jets. The Jets trade their 13th overall pick for the 15th overall pick, so they stay in the first round. Normally, for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you don't get to stay in the first round.
No.
So they stay in the first round. Then they trade the 42nd overall pick, but they had 42 and 43. So they get to keep 43 and keep 15. So you get Aaron Rodgers. You still draft in the first round, still in the top 15. You still get a top 45 pick in the second round. They trade a 6th round and get a 5th round in this 207 for 170. And next year you give up a potential second rounder that could be a first rounder, depending if Aaron Rodgers plays in 65% of the games, which you anticipate he does. But the Jets have drafted so well the last 2 years before Aaron Rodgers and everything this year that they don't really need that first round pick. So you get to stay in the first round. You trade 15 for 13. 13 for 15. Yeah. So 13 for 15 there. You get to stay in the second round with the 43rd. You give up the 42nd. You get Aaron Rodgers, and what I told you off the air.
Plus, Green Bay gets paid.
Well, and how about this? You look at the fact that when Aaron Rodgers, if he stays 2 to 3 years, I think he's going to stay 2 with an outside shot at 3. By the time he's out, he'll be off the books, and that'll be before you have to spend money on Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, and Jermaine Johnson II. So how do the Jets lose when they don't have to choose between Rodgers and their young guns? They keep all those guys in their rookie contracts till 2026 or 27.
That's a good point.
And you get the first and second round picks still, and you get a champion.
It was a great deal for the Jets.
I think the Jets swung and hit it. If Aaron Rodgers gets them to the playoffs, they won, in my opinion. They won with keeping their draft picks. They won with...
They still get a first-round draft.
But the thing is, the Jets won with their picks. They won with Aaron Rodgers. They won with the timing of it. And I think they win with the fact that I have them winning 11 to 12 games this year. They're either going to be 11-6 or 12-5. I think they're going to be 12-5.
Yeah. Well, let me see. In their division,
Miami's not a threat.
Miami's not. They're not.
The Patriots
ready
aren't
yet.
a threat.
No.
And the Bills are maybe they'll split with the Bills. Maybe. Because the Bills kind of underwhelmed at the end of the season, which I was really sad to see. I thought the
Me
Bills
too.
were going to be better.
I'm really high on the Bills. I was never a big Bills fan. But
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I almost ended up with the Bills.
Well, Jeff Cook, who was with us last year, Cookie, he said to me, he goes, I know you're a Jaguar, but when the Jaguars aren't playing the Bills, we got you, don't we? And I said, hey, I've been the Beeville Backers Bar right here in Baldwinsville, New York. We have the Beeville Backers group that comes in here to Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. And on Sundays, I cheer for my Jaguars. And if we're not playing Buffalo, Cookie knows I'm cheering for the Bills. So it'll be interesting to see here. But I got the Jets going 12-5 this year, and the Bills aren't picking until 27. And I got a couple picks for the Bills. But we're going to go to number 16. What do you got?
Well, we'll talk about the Bills when we get to them.
We will. So number 16.
Green Bay?
16 overall. Washington Commanders. And here I'm gonna hit you with something, Al, that you may not agree with, and some people might think I'm nuts. But Jordan Reed couldn't stay healthy. Logan Thomas hasn't stayed healthy. The Washington Commanders are quarterback collectors, but they got Sam Howell, who I told you last year was going to play toward the end of the season. He's now their starting quarterback. I covered him out of North Carolina. I haven't been wowed by him, but I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. I think he's got some upside, and I want to see him do better than what I saw in college. So at the 16th overall pick, they don't need a running back. They don't need a wide receiver. They don't need a quarterback, for the love of goodness. I have the Washington Commanders selecting tight end Dalton Kincaid out of Utah.
I like him.
Big old guy, and they need a tight end. And Washington likes their tight ends, but they need to keep them healthy.
Well,
they need to have a healthy one, and they don't have one. So Dalton Kincaid. This might be high for a tight end in some people's minds, but not if you're Washington and not in their situation.
I just thought this was a perfect time to bring a quarterback in with Sam Howell there as a veteran.
So who are you going to bring in?
Well, I'm talking Banks, the cornerback Banks.
Oh, the cornerbacks. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the cornerback coming out here, Deontay Banks.
Deontay Banks.
From Maryland. All right, I got him a little bit farther down, but I can understand Washington. They got some good defensive players up front, but on the back end, I like it. Which leads us to pick number 17 in the Wake Up Call mock draft, leading you into the 2023 NFL Draft with Al Romano. I'm going to show you the graphic again. This is the DT's mock draft, off the rails, Al Romano edition. And I say that to you at the time that I did, that it's the Al Romano edition, because Al Romano's a Pitt fan, Pitt Panthers, Pitt Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have the 17th overall pick. Al, where are they going?
Julius Brents.
Okay. You got him going there. All right. I'm going to go a little bit different here on you, Al. I'm going to say that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they work out in the same facility as the Pitt Panthers. They see these guys all the time.
Every day.
They've taken Kenny Pickett, as I said they would do last year. Let's see if I can be 2 for 2. They picked 20th overall last year, got Kenny Pickett, and I told you that was going to happen. This year, at 17th overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers will stay in Pittsburgh with Pitt Panther defensive tackle Elijah Cansey. That's where I got him going. Pittsburgh staying in Pittsburgh. Cansey's staying at home.
No, I hope he is. I really do. I watched the kid last year on the field. He's a hell of a player.
Which puts us at number 18.
I thought that they really needed a cornerback.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
No, I can understand that.
And this cornerback, 6'3".
Yeah. Normally your corners are 5'9", 5'9", 5'10", 5'11". Yep. So, with the 18th overall pick, the Detroit Lions, if they don't trade the pick, the Detroit Lions need a running back. The one that I had off the board is Bijan Robinson. If Bijan somehow falls to 18, I believe the Detroit Lions will take Bijan Robinson. But in my mock draft, he goes in the top 8 to the Atlanta Falcons, which means the Lions are still in need of a running back. I covered this guy at Wake Forest. He moved on from Wake Forest to Alabama. Running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, going to the Detroit Lions. They need a running back. They're going to pick Gibbs. They need to swing and hit on somebody. They swung and they missed on a bunch of guys in Detroit. I got them going here to help out their backfield, Jahmyr Gibbs.
I got another cornerback, Joey Porter.
Okay, you got Joey Porter. That's not a bad thing here. Now, Al, does it make you feel old when you start seeing guys' sons make it in the NFL, like Joey Porter Jr., who we had seen Joey Porter, and now we're seeing Joey Porter Jr.? Does it make you feel old?
No.
It makes me feel like I'm 100 because I'm seeing Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm not that old.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't want. Why did you bring that up?
I'm just asking.
Is there a reason?
I'm asking if you feel old.
Is this thing working?
Yeah, I'm asking if you feel old. Yeah, it's working.
I don't feel old.
You gotta hold it to you.
I might look it.
No, you don't look old, Al.
Yeah.
I don't think. No, Al, you haven't. If I take our pictures over the years and I put them all up against each other, I don't think you've aged. I think you've stayed young. You're forever young, Al. I don't know what type of cream you put on your face when you go to sleep at night, but it's working. But I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs in this one, which brings us to pick 19.
Tampa Bay?
Pick 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who are they taking, Mr.
I would
Romanowski?
guarantee a quarterback.
A quarterback?
I think so.
You think they're going to take a quarterback? Okay.
I think they are.
Okay.
Will
Levis. See, I'm going to tell you what I like about Tampa and what I like about their situation. I think Tampa should go with the guy that they drafted to learn from Tom Brady, who's been under Tom Brady for a couple years now. So I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should take some time to give a shot to the Florida product, Kyle Trask. Now, they just brought in Baker Mayfield, but I don't think Baker's going to play the whole season. I think Kyle Trask is eventually going to play in Tampa.
One thing about Baker, he shines. I mean, he is a competitor.
Well, he did good with the Rams when he filled in.
He's done okay with all of them.
So my thing, though, is I think Kyle Trask is going to play at some point this year. I have the Bucs taking a cornerback that you already mentioned, and that is Maryland product Deonte Banks going to the Tampa Bay Bucs. I think he fits perfectly here in Tampa. I think if they have him here at number 19, they're going to take him, which leads us to number 20. Again, Al, we're not even in an hour's time, and we're through the first 20 picks. Take that, NFL.
That's right, and I think we're going to be closer.
Yeah, I think we're doing a good job here. The Seattle Seahawks, who have Geno Smith as their quarterback of the future, believe it or not, they picked 5, and they're also going to pick 20. And I have them picking here 20th overall. They will take somebody you already mentioned, Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa, the edge rusher. I think Seattle, I don't have a lot of people double dipping, but I have the Seattle Seahawks double dipping on defensive line, taking an interior D lineman at 5 and Jalen Carter from Georgia, and an exterior lineman at 20 with Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. They could also take a linebacker here, but I got them taking an edge rusher.
Well, I got them taking
or
an
Joey
offensive.
Porter.
I like these big offensive linemen.
All right, what do you got?
Cyrus Torrance.
Osiris Torrance from Florida.
Yes.
You got a Gator. I got that Gator
Another
in here.
monster, 6'5", 230.
Which leads us to the back third of the first round of the NFL draft, and this being our mock draft inside of Wake Up Call. Myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, and Al Romano, bringing you our mock draft going into this here right now. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. No, it does. And that's why I like it, because they got 2 years to do it. 39. Yeah, they got 2 years to do it. 2 years to make it happen. We got from somebody a note here, 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers makes sense if you think you're one player away. And with Breece Hall, with Garrett Wilson, with some of their offensive linemen, with Jermaine Johnson II and Sauce Gardner, plays into my point of saying that those guys' contracts are up in 2026, 27, so they'll be able to use Aaron Rodgers and not have to worry about paying for him. Yeah, they're close.
Right.
I think right now, if they get some help on the offensive line, I think they'll be okay. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
If it doesn't work out,
How did they miss?
they're really building around with the guy, Aaron, coming in. They're really doing everything they can
But
possibly do.
if it doesn't work out, they don't have to worry about signing Aaron or
Right.
the rookies of 2026, 27. By the time Aaron's done, they'll be able to negotiate Sauce, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson II, as well as Brees Hall. So I don't think, like I said, I think the Jets made it on still drafting in the first and second round. They made it with Aaron Rodgers. They made it with at the timing that they did it, they made it with not having to worry about the rookie contracts. So at the end of the day, you get a guy for probably 2 years, maybe 3, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be all right. And like I said, 12-5 this year.
But they have draft choices left, too.
Yeah, and they're still going to have draft capital, which I had. As long as you're drafting in the first and second round and you get a guy like him, how do you miss? And I have them taking an offensive tackle in Darnell Wright. So we'll see who's available there, but I think they take an offensive tackle no matter what. We're in the back third of the draft here, Al, and it is time for me to make my run on wide receiver.
Okay.
21st overall, Los Angeles Chargers. Who do they take?
I have a wide receiver.
I do too. Is it a former Pitt Panther?
No.
Who is it? Who do you got?
Flowers.
Okay, Zay Flowers. I have Jordan Addison, who came from Pitt and went to USC in this world of NIL.
Right. I remember that was going down. It was
Yeah.
crap that going down.
But you have Zay Flowers, which I don't think is a bad pick. I think if Zay Flowers falls into 21 and beyond, anybody from the 21st pick on, in my opinion, arguably should take Zay Flowers. That's the Ravens, the Chargers, the Bills. There's a bunch of teams in this region that should take Zay Flowers. You have him going 21 to the Chargers. I have Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC, going to the Chargers.
You know, he's a little small. He's only 5'9", and I don't think he's 5'9".
Well, the thing about Jordan Addison, though,
So-
is that they have guys that get hurt every year. Mike Williams doesn't play a full season. You got Keenan Allen hasn't played a full season. So the Chargers need some wide receiver help.
Right.
We both went wide receiver. I like your pick of Zay Flowers. I'm going to tell you why I think Zay belongs somewhere else with this next pick. So in my opinion here, with Zay Flowers here at number 22, I'm picking Zay to become a Baltimore Raven. And he's going to become a Baltimore Raven because Zay Flowers is a running wide receiver. He's got plenty of yards as a wide receiver, and he's got yards as a running back as well. He fits a team that is going to be putting themselves in a position to have a running wide receiver. So I like Zay Flowers. Because they kept Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers makes sense.
Emmanuel Forbes, another cornerback.
Another corner, right? Emmanuel Forbes.
But this guy, he's over 6'1",
Yeah.
and an eighth.
6'1" and an 8. So no, I like that. I can understand that. So that brings us to number 23, the Minnesota Vikings. Who will the Vikings select?
Wide receiver, Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison, all right. You got him a couple picks after mine. I have them taking wide receiver out of North Carolina, Josh Downs, who I also covered at college. Josh Downs going to the Vikings, who desperately need some help at wide receiver. Besides Justin Jefferson, they have a whole lot of nobody. So they're going to have to take a wide receiver here.
Yeah, but this Addison, I may have read it wrong, but I think he runs like a 4.3 or a 4.4. The
fast guy.
The kid's fast.
Yeah. So here it brings us to 24. And with the 24th overall pick, we're going to get our whole draft done before the draft starts. How about that? This draft tonight's going to take, I think, bare minimum 3 hours and 40
easy.
minutes.
Yeah.
And we're not even taking an hour.
Because I think they're still shuffling.
So the Vikings, we just did that one, which leads us to the 24th overall pick, my Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe that they should take an offensive lineman. I have offensive tackle on my mind. They let out of the rookie contract, they allowed Juwan Taylor to go out of Florida. He was underwhelming. Offensive tackle who gets injured every year, Cam Robinson, just got in trouble. So Walker Little's the only offensive tackle they have. So in my 1.0 mock draft, I had them taking Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama if he fell to them. But, and I still could take him here, but I think now they really have to look at offensive line. The only person that can change my mind on them taking an offensive tackle is Brian Branch. And I have Brian Branch going to the Jaguars at number 24, the safety out of Alabama. But don't be surprised with the news today about Cam Robinson and everything else going on if the Jacksonville Jaguars take an offensive lineman, and if Syracuse offensive tackle,
yes,
because Broderick Jones, Paris Johnson, Skoronski, I got all these guys gone on the board. Darnell Wright's gone. Don't be surprised at number 24 overall. He worked out with the Jaguars a bunch. Him and I talked about it on my show this week, and you can go back and watch the special. At 24th overall, do not be surprised if offensive tackle, who could play offensive guard as well, Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse, goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 24. Who do you got?
You think so?
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I have Brian Branch, but I think they should draft an offensive tackle. And if they do, the next offensive tackle is Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma or Matt Bergeron out of Syracuse.
I have Miles Murphy out of Clemson.
You got us taking a D end. All right. An edge rusher going to Jacksonville.
6'5", 260.
I don't knock it.
No.
I don't knock it. We got some edge guys out there already. Number 25, the New York Giants. And the New York Giants, 25th overall, will select who? Al Romano.
Quentin Johnston, wide receiver.
Okay. Quentin Johnston out of TCU.
And I'm only saying that because if he is available,
Right.
because they really need an offensive lineman,
Right.
or a corner.
And so you got him taking Quentin
I
Johnston.
don't think you can pass that guy up.
Well, I'm passing him up for somebody whose numbers are better that's not talked about as much. Houston wide receiver Nathaniel Dell. Back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. I have the Giants taking wide receiver because they still have relative no-names out there. Nathaniel Dell to the New York Giants, which brings us to pick 26, the Dallas Cowboys. And I got an interesting one here. The Dallas Cowboys are going to make some unique history here, as not one tight end, but two tight ends will be taken in the first round because they let Dalton Schultz go like idiots, in my opinion.
I think you're going to pick the same guy I have.
The Dallas Cowboys will select tight end Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame to give them yet another Notre Dame player. I got Michael Mayer going only because Dalton Kincaid is going earlier in my draft. So if Dalton Kincaid is still there, they'll definitely get him. But if the Commanders in the same division as the Cowboys snake him away in the NFC East at 16 overall, the Cowboys are 10 picks later. They'll go best available tight end, Michael Mayer.
Sam Laporta.
Okay?
Out of Iowa.
You got him going. Why?
Tight end?
Yeah. Tight end. Well, you're thinking the same way that I'm thinking, Dallas tight end.
I don't think he's as big as that guy out of Notre Dame, though. But
You got to take that guy. So we go to 27th overall, the Buffalo Bills. And
I listened to an interview that Alan did,
yep.
and he kind of scared me by shying away from a good running back, because I think they need a good running back desperately to take the pressure off him.
Yeah.
This guy's got more yards than most running backs, and he's been in the league 5 years now. I don't think you can take that pounding much longer. So I think they need a running back. So I went with...
They got Damian Harris from the Patriots, and they got James Cook, who was a rookie last year.
I went with Robinson.
You want Bijan Robinson?
Bijan Robinson.
Hey, if Bijan Robinson falls all the way to Buffalo, you got to do it. I don't think he's going to fall that far. I have the Buffalo Bills at 27th overall getting some draft capital insurance policy on Micah Hyde. Because when Micah Hyde went down at safety last year, the Buffalo Bills were hurting. So I have the Buffalo Bills, if Zay Flowers is not available and Bijan Robinson is not available, at 27th overall, the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, will select Alabama safety Jordan Battle.
Yeah, he's. I thought about it.
They need some depth at safety. They got to have the depth at safety. Which brings us to the Bengals. And the Bengals, in my mock draft, I'm going to make them do something that they haven't wanted to do in years.
Well, you already picked I went with the tight end out of Notre Dame.
So you went with Michael Mayer here
Mayer.
to the Bengals. That makes sense because the Bengals have let go of their tight ends over the years. I have the Bengals. Listen, a couple years ago they got Joe Burrow at quarterback. Then I said, when people said they need offensive line, I said they're not going to do that. I said if Jamar Chase is available, they're gonna reunite those LSU teammates and they're gonna bring in Jamar Chase at wide receiver. That's exactly what they did. But what have they needed to do for years that they haven't done? They need to block for their quarterback, and they need to protect him. Offensive tackle Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma will be a Cincinnati Bengal. It might not be the most attractive pick that they have, but Cincinnati needs to make this pick.
I had him as my second choice.
Yeah, well, Anton Harrison, the Bengals are going to need to draft an offensive tackle. You got your wide receiver. You got some running backs. You have your quarterback of the future. You're going to have to pay him. And I'm going to say this here today, and don't be surprised. Joe Burrow, when he comes up to the contract extension, I'm not saying guaranteed money. I'm saying overall contract money. Don't be surprised if Joe Burrow's contract says $290 million when he signs his extension.
That's obnoxious.
Well, I'm telling you right now. I told you the Lamar Jackson 260 and 175 or 185 guaranteed, and that's what he got.
Well,
Joe Burrow's going to be around 290, which means Trevor Lawrence is probably going to ask for 300, which is going to make me somewhat sick, but they need to lock that up.
I like this. I like this tight end.
Yeah.
He gave an interview. I read an article. I don't know what the hell it was.
Yeah.
But he talked about Kelsey. He goes, he wants to be a Kelsey.
Yeah. Well, Cincinnati needs a tight end.
And they say the coach that they interviewed the coach, and the coach says that he has a practice habit like no other player on the team. He's first one in, last one out type guy. I like that.
Yeah.
I was the last one in and the first one out.
There you go. I understand that, Al. And now there needs to be more Big Ten talk on this show. If Ohio State is wide receiver U, then the Iowa Hawkeyes are tight end U. Zay Flowers got that Hollywood Brown comparison, like him going to the Ravens. Yep, and that's what I have. I have him going to the Ravens. So thanks for chiming in on that. And speaking of chiming in, I said Anton Harrison going to the Bengals, and it's time to hear that chime just a few more times tonight. We will be done with our draft before the actual draft starts. We're going to do it in an hour, Al. And when you watch the actual NFL draft tonight, I'm telling you right now, if it's done before 11:45, I'll be startled. I think the first pick won't be picked until around 8:20, 8:30. I think it'll take forever. They normally take a very long
at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, they take a long
20-minute hype on the first guy.
So the 29th overall pick to the New Orleans Saints. Will they finally pick a defensive player? Now, keep in mind, they have Derek Carr now as their quarterback. Will they finally go defense? Because I said a long time ago, if Drew Brees ever got a defense that was a little above average, didn't have to be great, just had to be a little bit above the NFL equator line, they could win a Super Bowl. They got that defense a little bit above the equator line, and Drew Brees won the Super Bowl over Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts. And if Peyton didn't throw an interception inside the 20 there, if he had thrown that touchdown, I would have had the exact score of the game. So I'm still a little bit upset at Peyton Manning for that. But will they finally go defense with the Saints? What do you got?
I think they will. Defensive line out of Clemson.
What do you got?
Brian
Breesy. And it's funny that you say that because I have defensive line out of Clemson, edge rusher, who you already put out there, Miles Murphy. So no matter what, we got Clemson defensive line going to New Orleans.
I think either way they're going to go with one of these guys.
Listen, New Orleans needs to draft a competent defensive lineman here. So let's go get a defensive lineman here. Edge rusher Miles Murphy. You have Breesy in the interior coming out of Clemson. They got to get some big guys who know how to hit and know how to be on a really good team. So no matter what they do, New Orleans, it's time to go Clemson, which brings us to number 30.
The Eagles?
The Philadelphia Eagles, believe it or not, the runners-up in the Super Bowl, yet they get 2 picks in the top 30 here. They had the 10th overall, and they get the 30th. I'm going with the Eagles, looking to protect Jalen Hurts with offensive guard, who you already put out there. I have offensive guard Osiris Torrance out of Florida protecting. But they could also, in this, go defense. They could go running back because they lost Miles Sanders, So I wouldn't be surprised if Philly went offensive line, running back, or corner, but I'm going to go with offensive line, Osiris Torrance.
I went defense.
Okay.
They're already the top D in the NFL.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith.
All right. Yeah, and so I had them picking Nolan Smith.
I think that's my fourth Georgia player.
Well, the funny thing is, I had the Eagles taking Nolan Smith with their 10th overall pick. You have them taking it with their 30th overall. So we both have Nolan going to Philly. You just think he's going to be on the board a little bit longer.
Yeah.
All right, which leads us to 31. Now, my 1.0 to my 2.0, I've stayed true. But my 31st pick, I'm going back and forth between two guys. What do you got for me, Al? 31 to the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs.
An offensive lineman out of Oklahoma,
Okay.
Austin Harrison.
All right. So I have for me, this is a tough one for me, and it's tough because I keep going back and forth between two guys. Now in my 1.0, I went with Breesy, who you just talked about. I went with Brian Breesy out of Clemson to the Chiefs. I'm also looking at D tackle out of Michigan, Mozzie Smith. So they think Mozzie's going to go at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. I have stayed true to my entire 1.0 into my 2.0, which I didn't think I was going to do. I thought I was going to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to stay true to this. I'm going to take interior defensive lineman Brian Breesy, and Brian Breesy out of Clemson. I'm going to stick with it here. So you heard it here on Wake Up Call. My picks in 1.0 are my picks in 2.0. And with Lamar Jackson being locked up, that kind of helped things out too with Zay Flowers and some of these quarterbacks. I have not changed my entire draft. In my 1 through 31, folks, from what you heard, is going to remain the same. This is my 1 through 31. Read it, love it, enjoy it, and let's see if it happens. So you have them going offensive line. I have them going defensive line in Kansas City, and that's what we got. Mr. Romano.
So we got, what, 3 or 4 that don't have any. Two teams that don't have a first round.
There's a few teams that don't. And you know what the other thing is, too? Cornerback Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. I don't have him going in the first round, and that's just because of what team needs are to me. I don't have him going here yet, and I don't have Devin Witherspoon going either, who's considered the top corner. So don't be surprised if I'm wrong about Witherspoon and Porter, and if they go in the first round.
I had them both.
And I'm going to tell you. So that was a couple of the guys that I thought I could move here. Devin Witherspoon and Joey Porter Jr. If I'm wrong, I could see them going to the Falcons, the Eagles, potentially the Titans. I could also see them maybe going to the Commanders. But, yeah, there's a bunch of teams here, or the Bills. So I could see Joey Porter Jr. or Devin Witherspoon making it in the first round. I just want to say that because I didn't not include them in my mock draft because I don't respect them. I do. I'm just looking at team needs. So Joey Porter Jr. and Devin Witherspoon are the two names that I've circled on this, that I put on the side here, that if I'm wrong, I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong. So I want to let people know that those are kind of my, if I'm wrong, I'm going to understand why.
Well, because the Browns don't have a pick.
Oh, if the Browns had a pick, they'd go with a punter. Or a long snapper.
You're right.
You can't get dumber than the Browns.
You
can't get dumber than Cleveland. And you know, it's so sad. Because the old Cleveland Browns, who are now the Ravens, they were so smart. But the new Cleveland Browns that came back in '99, I'm still waiting to see if their check clears. I don't think they came back yet. I don't think they're back yet. I think they're still waiting. Is there such thing as being in an NFL queue?
Yeah, right.
Because the Browns are currently in the queue waiting to buy tickets. That's where we're at here. So with that being said, Al, we did the entire draft, the entire first round of the draft in an hour's time, and we got you lined up all the way to the draft. Before the first pick is done, we are. Mr. Romano,
all right.
It's
now
always
what
my
we're
pleasure.
Going to do here
yes,
is,
sir.
As they get done with this, we're going to match up.
We're going to see if we got them right.
Who's closer?
Yeah. Well, we did that last year. Exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and exclusively at Pizza Man Pub. Come out to Pizza Man, get some great wings as well as some great pizza. All their stuff is awesome. Their antipasto, their macaroni and cheese. I love so many things here at Pizza Man. We love being partnered up with the Delia family and all of Pizza Man. 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. We will see you out here every month with Wake Up Call. And I want to let you know really quickly here as we have a second. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will be live tomorrow morning and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once we go live, you can find us in the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Podvine, Player FM, and YouTube by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Final word, Mr. Romano. What do you got for me?
Now, I would drive a long distance for a great pizza, and this one, sincerely, not because we're doing this show here, it's worth the drive just to try it.
The sweet heat for sure.
No, I'm serious. The pizzas are...
And nobody's got better, you know what, Lou Williams in the NBA, the Lou Wills, he has lemon pepper wings. My lemon peppers are from Pizza Man. I don't even know what Lou's taste like, but I'll tell you right now, I'll put my lemon pepper, dry rub, extra crispy Pizza Man wings up against any lemon peppers in the world.
Well, let's do it.
So Al and I got to eat, you got a draft to watch, and we brought you to the doorstep of it, and we couldn't have finished it a more perfect time, Al. They're still on commercial. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you want to sell our list here, and
sell it to the highest bidder. Yeah, our list is on sale right now at Pizza Man, and we're going to put them on eBay as well.
Some of these GMs may like to see it.
I think at some point in my life I need to be a GM. So with that being said, we bid you adieu. Have a fantastic night. We appreciate you so very much, and we hope that you have a great time. We've locked in our picks, and we're looking forward to the teams locking in theirs. And we definitely appreciate everybody that came out here tonight. And shout out to my Jaguars, who are not for the third year in a row picking number 1 overall. So we'll see you with the Jets. With the Jaguars will be picking at 11:30 tonight at 24th. We hope you all have a great night. And as always, God bless. No stress. Do your best. Take care.